Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the CoinRock Show. Had some tech difficulties just getting on a few minutes ago, so we relaunched. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's push this. Let's give it a few moments. Let's give a few moments to the algorithm to push this out. Comment, like, share this, please. I know the market is completely dead. The timeline is dead. When I say the market, it's mainly the timeline, right? The views are down. There's a lot of almost fighting on the timeline. Everyone's unhappy. So this is what happened. This is actually a good example of what happens in bear markets. Not saying we're in a bear market now. You guys know my view. We are in a overall in a bull market, but nice pullback. But no, this is not a bear market for me. And of course, there's a case to be made that we are in a bear market, but we'll get into that. But aside from that, this is actually a good example for everyone to kind of, if this is your first cycle and you just joined your class of 2023, joined crypto recently, this is pretty much how it is. It's very negative and a lot of negativity on the timeline. Hope everyone's doing well, though. Type in one or say hi in the comments. It's always good to hear from you guys. And I'm also monitoring some of the groups we're in here. So let's have a look. Should be good to go. Good. All right. So I am very curious to actually pretty excited to show you guys this. Okay. There you go. All right, welcome. So Tuesday, we did not do a live stream yesterday. I had basically calls at the evening. So sometimes, especially when the market is a bit slower, we'll skip a day. But today, we just finished recording a show. Welcome everyone. Kobe, Crypto Triforce, Kobe. Good to see you guys. Let's have a look. Who else commented here? We had Try4 G Money. Nice to see you guys. So, yeah, we just got done recording an episode with Chris, who's an investor, a serial entrepreneur, older than me. Can you believe that? Even more Web1 OG than me. And talked about the pain of growing up in the late 90s. On the internet, basically just with semi-functional websites that you had to wait for minutes to load a single page or a single picture. So that was we ended up recording for a full hour, and I'd say we were halfway done, and then we had to just jump off. So we'll have Chris back probably in a few weeks to do part 2, and we'll have the full we'll link up the full episode probably in the next few days. So welcome everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. The market sucks. The market sucks today. That's what's been happening. Remember, we've been saying choppy. I've been saying choppy. If you guys are on this every day or every stream, you know that this is not new, right? I've been saying choppy. I actually retweeted a tweet from November, I believe. Let me have a look at this. This was actually pretty interesting. I think back in November, I said, hey, we're going to do I think Bitcoin was at 98. I'm just scrolling down here. 98. I said 98, 85, 120. And then that's when FOMO starts. So I'm not surprised by, I said, this is November 11. November 11, right? So pretty interesting to see how things have played out. I'm not surprised. I can openly say now that yes, I saw this coming. Let me just put this tweet here. And what's interesting is, there you go. So that's the tweet. the infamous tweets, where we're getting close to 100K back in November, or trending, close to six figures, and I said, no, this is not the one. This is not the one that runs to 150 to 2 or 200K. There's going to be some pain, and I said 85K. We're at 81K. We dropped like 70, high 70K. High 70s. I'm not surprised. This is, we talked about this, like what are the next catalysts, right, in the market? So Trump came in, we had the Trump pump, and then there's really not much happening in the market now. So that's what's been happening. Let's have a look at the price here. Bitcoin 81K, ETH 1800. I mean, everything's down. Trying to see if there's a single green circle. There's a few here. Is that Maker? Let's have a look. Whoops, where are we now? Yeah, there's a few. Let's have a look at these ones. I mean, look, right? Yeah, it's another red day. So again, like the saying goes, it is what it is. I'm not surprised at all. We're gonna chop, guys. We are gonna chop. I've said this for months. We're in the middle of an annoying chop, especially if this is your first cycle and you're looking at the price. We are pretty much between 78 and 85K. We're going to have those scam wicks. So that's what's happening price-wise. Let's have a look at some of the news. Welcome, everyone. The CoinRock Show here, we cover the news almost every day. Just had an episode that we shot with Chris that was pre-recorded, that will be released in the next few days. So Bitcoin struggles. News number one here. Bitcoin struggles to break free as dollar weakens. So again, Bitcoin isn't rising. The up only, we're not in an up only phase. This is something that we've seen every cycle. Literally every single cycle. We have 20, 30, sometimes 40% pullbacks. I do believe that we're in a bull market. I haven't changed that. Nothing is, nothing. It's always interesting to have different views. There's one that I want to share with you guys, because I don't want to be the up only. Actually, that was a great podcast, the Kobe and Ledger podcast. But I don't want to be the up only hopium show for you guys, because we have to be real. We have to stay real. I think we have some pain. I think there's no real bullishness really coming up soon. There's a few updates that might be interesting for the market in the coming, I'd say, few weeks, but it's all going to be macro stuff, right? Anything crypto-wise doesn't even register. Anything, any bullish SEC headline, any fund acquiring Bitcoin or crypto or adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet isn't registering. We're not seeing any good. So the way this works, if you guys are new, is the market is weak if you have good news and the price doesn't pump. And so that's what we've been seeing. I can see in the news just the mood in general is lower than it's been in the last few weeks. I feel that it's pushing people away. I can see, and you guys can see this too on the timeline, you can see that even, quote, large Twitter accounts, large traders are becoming a bit bearish. Some are very bearish, and that's okay. I think that it's very important to stay neutral. I said this, and I'll close with this statement too. I think this is when you either pick up a hobby, you do something else, you start a business, but you stay focused on crypto too. But if you only have crypto, it's very difficult to just wait for the market to change. It will change. Like, we will spike up at some point. The problem is it in a month, 3 months, 6 months? No one knows. No one really knows, even those that predict. Even I predicted the 98, 85, 120. We talked about the Kingmaker trade last week. We talked about the two main elements that are necessary, or that I believe will make, that will really change the trajectory of this cycle. Number one is, of course, the rates, and that's fully macro dependent, nothing crypto related. And then the other thing, of course, is the end of QT and the start of QE. In other words, more liquidity in the system. Again, nothing to do with crypto. That's what's wild about this market. For those who are new, is both of those have nothing to do with crypto. It's not like Bitcoin is safer or Bitcoin is more secure, like the network is more secure, or there's bigger buyers buying Bitcoin and ETH. Nothing to do with that. This is purely macro. So until that changes, nothing will really change. Yes, we'll have these wicks every now and then. We might jump to 82, 85, maybe 90, and everyone thinks, we're back again. Maybe. There is something to be said that, about the fact that when everyone is bearish, the market usually tends to send. And when everyone is euphoric, the market tends to dump. We'll see. But again, there's no real bullish catalyst as of today. If we get some good numbers, FOMC, if we get good QT, QE news, interest rates, yes. But right now, different story. Split opinions about, let's have a look at this one. Split opinions about Bitcoin's future. The market is divided. Yes. Some believe that the current pause is only temporary. They think that Bitcoin's preparing for a strong move. Others are more skeptical. I am in the more skeptical side. I've been skeptical for weeks, months even, and not bearish. I mean, I've said short-term bearish, mid to long-term giga bullish. Right now, again, skeptical. Great time to build, great time to prep. But again, we're not going to send to 120,000 tomorrow unless if something changes drastically outside of crypto. Again, this is nothing that Bitcoin or ETH or anything crypto related. And of course, as you guys know, when Bitcoin doesn't do well, alts don't do well at all. When Bitcoin drops, alts drop. It doesn't matter if you have a good team, a good project, a good white paper, good tokenomics, everything dumps, right? So when I see, oh yeah, why is CYG, so one of CoinRock's projects, why is the price of CYG down? I literally tweeted this the other day. I'm like, have you looked at the market, my bro? Like, have you looked at the market? It's been down only from like the 110s. Of course, alts are going to get destroyed. It's just how it is. So again, I'm more on the skeptical side. I think that we have at best some chop between 78 to 85K. I said this last week, so please remember if this happens, remember this. I said that we might see mid 70s, low 70s if we have bad news. And that's fine. I think that the bull market is here. These pullbacks are normal. I think everyone tends to, crypto is very binary, right? There's no middle ground. It's like either, Bitcoin to 1 million or like Bitcoin to 0. No one, or at least retail in general, doesn't, even crypto traders, there's no kind of like level-headed kind of like, okay, there's very, very few actually who can make a rational call on, choppy, boring, like I said, 78 to 85K for the next few weeks, maybe a few months. And then when we have a change on a macro level, that's when we send. Till then, I think we range. All right, let's have a look at this. So this is all the news. Let's zoom into this one. This is very interesting. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So again, I don't want to be a merchant of hopium with you guys. I want to be real, and I want you guys to understand that, there's going to be a time when I will be extremely bullish, but that time is not today. CryptoQuant CEO warns Bitcoin bull cycle is over based on on-chain metrics. This is not the headline you guys want to see, but I have to keep it real. And this is what CryptoQuant says. I don't agree with everything he says. Not everyone has had, I mean, everyone's made mistakes on calls, so take everything with a grain of salt. I do like this guy. I think it's very interesting for you guys to see, even if you don't agree, and if it's not good for your bags, it's good to see if you're bullish. It's always good to see and read about the bear case. And if you're bearish, it's always good to read and know about the bull case. You need to be able to be, you need to stay level-headed and neutral, and be able to hear if you're gigabull, you need to know about the bear. If you're, perma bear, you need to know about the bull case. So yes, I saw this on my feed. Of course, a lot of drama when someone posts this, especially someone who has a big following. Bitcoin bull cycle is over. Expecting 6 to 12 months of bearish or sideways price action. Not very different. I mean, not different to what I said. I do think 12 months is definitely extremely long. I'm not in the 12-month of bearish and sideways price action camp. I don't think the bull side, again, it depends what are we talking local, top, bottom? Are we talking complete bull markets? So again, there's a lot of data points, and literally there's data points that someone would look at that someone else looking at different data points would disagree with. So take everything with a grain of salt. I think this is interesting just because you have to be open to the idea that it's over. Even though I don't agree with it, I said a few things here that I do agree with. Number one, choppy, like I said, bearish sideways price action, nothing new. You've heard me say this on every show. I don't think we see 12 months of this. I think everything is dependent on the US, tariffs, QT, and interest rates. That's it. That's the solution. Again, if it takes 6 months, take 6 months. And crypto might have some relief bounces. I do think we'll see some relief bounces at some point, sooner rather than the later. I don't think, again, that we'll, I don't think we're getting to the 140, 150K Bitcoin soon, unless we see a radical change in, from a macro perspective. But this was an interesting one. Again, diverging views. Not everyone is convinced the rally is over. Again, it really depends on what you look at. It depends on the data points. So there's data points that say it's over. There's data points that say it's just started. It depends on which data points you want to believe and look at. That's why predictions are so difficult. We'll see. My view is, and it's just not just my view, the view of the people that I trust the most financially and who've been in not just crypto, but who've been in the markets for decades, old retired investors, is that right now it's yeah, like I said, I haven't seen anyone talk about the living in a Trump dependent crypto market before I coined the term. But that's the case, right? And beyond just the crypto market, it's living. I shared this I shared this tweet yesterday. Goldman Sachs did they released a looking in my other screen here, they released a study, a poll, I think it was yesterday, about, I can't find it here. If you guys can find it on my feed. Oh, yeah, here it is. Goldman clients poll. Goldman Sachs asked, what is the largest policy risk to the economy in 2025, right? This is not crypto. This is macro, right? Markets. And overwhelmingly 60% of the answers, 60%, the largest policy risk to the economy this year is tariffs. And the second risk that they estimate, or that they quote voted for, was a failure to address fiscal sustainability, aka debt, and basically in the US, right? So number one, tariffs. That's it. And that will depend on when Trump and his team either so applied tariffs, that's coming up in 2 weeks. They said April 2nd is when the new tariffs go in full effect. And when they ease tariffs, could be weeks, could be months. So again, patience, patience, patience. Is another rally still possible? Yes. That's my view. I think that's not the consensus, because you don't want to be fooled by herd mentality, but you also want to, I think that saying that the market is completely over, the cycle is over, the bull market's over, I definitely think there's a lot of indicators that contradict that. So your bags, so TLDR, if you just joined, your bags still have a chance. And I think, again, sideways, yes. Choppy, yes. Mid-70s, maybe. Boring price action. More anger and frustration on the timeline. People, insulting each other. We've seen that on the timeline in the last few weeks. And when price goes up, everyone's happy. It's fucking weird, but that's how it is in crypto. OKX, halt. This is interesting. We talked about this. Remember when the Bybit hack, the Bybit hack was just 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, and so it's actually opened. I saw a tweet from Zach XBT. It was a screenshot actually of maybe his Discord or something, saying that the $1.4 billion hack actually exposed the issue with DEX, not the issue, but raises questions on DEXs. And we talked about this, right? Remember, ThorChain made millions of dollars in fees by allowing, Lazarus and the hackers to use the bridge. And so ThorChain and other DEXs basically just collected fees because that's what the DEXs and the bridges were built for. And so they were not built to be a centralized entity that controls. The whole thing of DEX, of the DEX movement, of the idea of decentralization and decentralized finance is that there is no single point of control. And so, yeah, technically, anyone can move and use those DEXs. So the other question, we talked about this for like half an hour when the hack happened, was if you're running ThorChain, right? Should you stop Lazarus? If you do stop Lazarus, it sets a precedent. That means that you have control over the protocol. Defeats the whole purpose and defeats the idea that code is law. Again, it's a fundamental conversation. It's an existential conversation for DeFi if you believe that someone can still control something that's supposed to be decentralized. So OKX halts DEX aggregator to prevent further misuse. This means that OKX said, okay, we're getting too much heat. And we talked about this. I think there was a headline probably last week, I believe. Bybit asking or almost accusing OKX and saying, hey, you kind of turned a blind eye to $100 million in volume coming in from, through helping Lazarus, or not stopping Lazarus. Interesting conversation. So OKX posted this: we're temporarily pausing our DEX aggregator to address incomplete tagging, while we also roll out new security features. This is to address the recent coordinated attacks by media, along with unsuccessful efforts by Lazarus Group to misuse our DeFi services. We will pause new wallet creation. Again, OKX is really making a big push in the EU. They just got their MiCA license last week. They got their UAE license in November or December. So they're growing and investing big. The last thing they need is bad press right now. Is that the only reason why they stopped it? Is that the main driver? Is it to help? No one knows. I mean, the only ones that know are the ones at the executive level and the C level at OKX. But it is interesting that basically OKX has paused its DEX aggregator and restricted new wallet creation. Again, it's not a case of like, is it good or bad? It's a matter of, is this the right, are you going against the whole thesis of DeFi? Interesting question. Like I said, my view is, if DeFi is supposed to be DeFi, code is law. Something else that ZachXBT posted, you can find the screenshot on Twitter. What was interesting is, this is funny, this Solana ad. Hilarious. We'll get to that in a moment. He also said something very interesting, which we have experienced just because I've seen that. So I know that this is a major issue with centralized exchanges. As you guys know, there's hundreds of centralized exchanges. Of course, you know the big ones, right? Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, OKX. What else? I mean, there's massive ones that only deal in certain languages. Like South America has huge Brazilian Portuguese ones that no one knows outside of Brazil. So the point here is that there's hundreds of these centralized exchanges that are licensed. And when they get a request to freeze wallets, to freeze transactions, it takes them sometimes hours to respond. So, a transaction takes a few seconds or a few minutes to go through. So by the time support gets back, even fast VIP support, it could take 3 to 6 hours to get back to you. So those funds are gone. That's a big issue. It's I mean, we've known that on the inside of the industry. We've known that to be an issue for years now, especially now with CoinRock over the last, like I said, since January 2024, so 15 months ago. These are things that you only see when you're on the inside of this industry. It's no secret, right? And so then the question is, centralized exchanges make fees again, right? So the incentives are fucked, because why would you stop transactions if your business model revolves around transactions, and someone else who's a competitor to you wants you to stop those transactions in wallets? There is money to be made transacting gray or dark money, right? Black money, stolen money. And there's always going to be a market for that. I'm just keeping it real here with you guys. So the question is, if you don't have control of it, if you're a DEX, a DeFi protocol, and you don't have control, that's it. If you run a centralized exchange and you can actually technically press a button, stop the transaction, freeze a wallet, do you want to? I mean, like I said, you can go down on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, you'll see hundreds of exchanges that you've never used, never heard of. Some of the websites don't even work well. Try them. I mean, try them at your risk. Don't come whining because you lost money. I'm just saying that there's a lot of exchanges that have licenses and that have no customer support, and they literally will not get back to you. So again, it raises a bigger question: is how can the industry, and this can only be enforced by regulation. I'm not for pure. I'm for regulate. I'm pro regulation, but regulation needs to make sense. If we're going to if you want to regulate DeFi, what's the point of having DeFi? Literally, so it's like that's removing and killing the industry, which the SEC has said recently they're not interested in killing DeFi. Centralized exchanges, do you create a database that all centralized exchanges can collaborate and freeze wallets at will? That also poses a problem, right? Overreach, abuse. Again, it's a very complicated conversation. It's a big question. Do you want to have control over something that's supposed to be permissionless, decentralized, and should technically have no single point of failure? And so we're seeing that with these big breaches. We'll see. Moving on to Solana, that cringe ad. I actually had a look. I woke up this morning. I was like, what is this on the timeline? This ad. It's a 2-minute video. To be fully honest, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched maybe 15 seconds. I don't understand why they do this. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they do these, especially when it's not a Super Bowl ad. It's not Super Bowl season. I like Solana, but there's no point and no upside in doing this. Also, read the room. Like, the content of this, I just skipped to like they talk about the ad portrayed America as a man in therapy confessing he was having thoughts about innovation in crypto. The therapist's sarcastic response, he should focus on something more productive, like coming up with a new gender. So it's like, do we need this? Like, clearly not, because Solana literally deleted the video. So took them 9 hours to delete it. Also, all major players in the Solana ecosystem suddenly delete their tweets promoting and supporting the ad. So what happened was Solana pushed this video, and then of course the Solana bulls. I'm a Solana bull, but if the ad sucks, I'm not pushing it. I'm calling it out. And so you had these, you had like the diehards, like Solana fans tweeting, and then the backlash was so bad that they all deleted their tweets. Again, very funny, way too tribal. I like Solana, but if the ad sucks, it sucks. And so I'm always going to say it's either great if it's good. And sometimes you'll see like really bad. Sometimes we'll see like some dead L1s who have no users, but they have a great ad. Sometimes you have Solana, which I am super bullish on, do something horrendous like this. And so again, read the room. This is not what crypto wants. Tone deaf, horrendous, just bad. So again, bad marketing, bad PR. I don't know who greenlit this, but yes, this is not something that that you want to be pushing out. And again, I think these big L1s, like any big company, any big entity in any market, usually thinks that they have more leeway, usually because of ego, because they're quote big, because they have more power, more money. But sometimes what they do, remember when Bud Light, right, one of the leaders, if not the leader in the beverage and the beer space in the US, came out with that super woke ad, and they're like, oh no, people will like this, and it's just like crickets. Like, people hated the ad. So again, there is such a thing of like yes men on a team, yes women, and thinking that just because you're a leader in the industry, you can get away with horrendous marketing. No, you can't. If people hate it, they hate it. In this case, it was bad. Watch the ad though. It's like, it's cringe. Like, it's not insulting. It's just like, it's just bad. It has nothing to do with crypto. And also dropping it in like mid-March. Again, it's not Super Bowl season. This is not when like FTX did the whole like Matt Damon. No, Matt Damon was Coinbase, I think. FTX was Larry David right before the Super Bowl. Oh no, Matt Damon was crypto.com actually. What did I think Coinbase did the QR code one. It was actually pretty good. Again, weird. Like bad Solana bad. That being said, we like Solana. We like the L1, but that was bad marketing. Former Binance, so former CEO of Binance, CZ, predicts that just 1% will succeed in crypto. I hope the 1% is all you guys. I hope that you are all in the 1%. I will say that, look at the numbers here, right? Usually when we do this, when the market's good, we have between, on average, 500, 400 to 800 people, viewers live. When the market's really good, like when it was like just, I'd say mid-January, when there was some euphoria, not peak euphoria, but like bullish, right? We were, I remember doing a show and ending at around 1,800, so like literally 100, like 18 times more viewers. That's how it is, especially in crypto. So if you're here, you're in the, let's call it the trenches, and you have a higher chance of success than the tourists. Very good tweet. I like this. These two tweets I fully agree with. Emperor is a very, very old Twitter account. Very good ideas. Good TradFi. Good like common sense investing. The bar to succeed in crypto is very low. I agree. I've been telling you guys for over a year now. It's very low. 80% are tourists who arrive with news and leave. 10% are Twitter news traders following influencers and like bad KOLs. 5% pretend to be wealthy. That's the guys that drop pictures of watches, sometimes fake watches, oftentimes actually. Fake pictures of being on holiday all the time and pretending like they're living the life. So you only need to outperform the remaining 5%. 80% are gone, right? They're not here, literally not on this stream. 10% are, they'll check Twitter every now and then. Maybe they'll read an article every now and then. 5% trade sometimes, but the more pretenders than actual, let's call it, I was going to say professionals, but when I say the word professionals in crypto, it sounds boomerish, but it's true. So you actually only need to outperform the remaining 5%. This is what CZ says. In the remaining 5%, 4% actively trade or work on projects, but won't outperform Bitcoin. Holding BTC surpasses 99% of crypto participants and other asset types by doing practically nothing. To move up in the final 1%, extraordinary effort is required. So a few words about this. This is very interesting. I fully agree with that. In any market, there's only a small percentage that actually outperforms, right? I've seen this in Web 2. When I started selling online over 20 years ago, and my first business in 2007, my first real business, real company in 2007, over the years, I've met thousands of entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs, thousands, maybe tens of thousands through like live streams and webinars and online conferences, but I'd say like face-to-face, thousands. Maybe a few dozen. Actually, maybe that's a bit harsh. I'd say maybe under 200 became cash multi-millionaires. As in not making seven figures in business, right? Today, making grossing seven figures a year in business in any Web 2 business is easy. Anyone can make money. Anyone can generate sales. Being a multi-million-dollar liquid, setting aside multiple millions of dollars outside of like parking that, not more than a few hundred at most, maybe 200. Having a 7-figure a year business means that you're taking home 10 to 25% at most. So, I mean, I know these numbers, right? I know a lot of people making like $1 million a year gross with a team, paying for ads, paying taxes. If they're in e-commerce, of course, like $1 million a year e-commerce business is 5 to 10% net. So making and keeping multiple millions of dollars, you're in the top 1%, like 0 point something percent. And so this is very real, right? That being said, one thing I will say is, as of today, Bitcoin is a great saving vehicle. It is not a making vehicle. The making vehicle is long gone. You're not having your 10x, do the math, right? Bitcoin is at 80K today. For you to get a 10x, you need Bitcoin at 800,000. I have no doubt that Bitcoin hits anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million. I think that is commonly accepted now in the next 5 to 10 years. That being said, are you going to hit a 10x with Bitcoin now? No, of course not. So if you're in the make money, if you're in crypto to make money, you need alts. Simple as that. You need alts. And then the question is, what alts? Do you play meme coins? Do you play utility? That's a whole separate conversation. But these numbers are real. I agree with that. You know, a very small percentage of, and this is in every industry. Pro sports, thousands start playing football. Thousands, you know, can be very good athletes, right? But you get injuries. I mean, injuries will literally replace maybe 50% of recurring injuries, pains. Just the like being limited physically by pain will literally eliminate a massive percentage of potential athletes, pro athletes. So this is real. So congrats. My point here is, if you're here, all the tourists are gone. Crypto is dead, considered dead now, right? The headlines are bearish in the news. If you're here, remember this when there's only 78 people and I'm doing a live stream. When there's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people on these streams, remember that you were here and you were here at under 100. And that's how you win. Let's have a look at this. Is I have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to cover a few more updates here. Acting SEC chair orders staff to reassess controversial crypto custody rule. So again, nothing new here, no new decision. I just wanted to show you guys this headline because the SEC is changing, and that's very bullish, right? So before, when Gensler was in office and pretty much in control of the SEC, it was only like the amount of bearish headlines and bogus lawsuits and dragging crypto projects and founders through lawsuits and burying them with millions of dollars in legal fees, only then to either drop the case. That's what the SEC was doing. Now you can really see almost every day, I show you these headlines, almost every day there's something new and bullish about the SEC. This is bullish for me because they're looking at things and taking a different view. We're seeing that they want to make the US accessible, and they wanted to make it clear. They want clarity. So we don't have clarity yet, but again, industry reaction and calls for regulatory clarity. That's what we all want in this industry. We as founders and investors, and so CoinRock, right? Founders, builders, investors, we want clarity. Just say, hey, this is good, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. It'll be the same rules for everyone. We'll be fine with that. Whereas before it was like, hey, you have to kind of guess what's good, but hey, if you do this wrong, we might sue you, but these guys doing the same thing will not get sued. Like, there was zero clarity. Changing atmosphere. For me, this is super bullish. Like everyone, oh, there he is. Everyone, it's funny, old, new, very literal here. Everyone wants, and everyone's seeing this, right? A change. The vibe is very different today. So we'll see. We're expecting some clarity and some updates from the SEC in the next 3 to 6 months at most. We'll see how that works, but it can only be better because we will have clarity. North Korea, this was a funny headline. I saw that North Korea becomes the third largest holder of Bitcoin. So when they hacked Bybit for $1.4 billion in ETH, they actually, let's have a look at this. North Korea has reportedly become one of the largest stakeholders of Bitcoin following the substantial cyber heist targeting the crypto exchange Bybit. Oh, it was a month ago. So on February 21st, a notorious North Korean sophisticated attack, $1.5 billion were stolen. And then data indicates that North Korea now possesses 13,000 BTC, valued at $1.14 billion. This accumulation propels North Korea ahead of nations like Bhutan and El Salvador. For context, Bhutan's holdings stand at 10,000 BTC and El Salvador at 6,000. Very funny. I mean, not funny, but funny like Joe Pesci funny. Watch Casino if you don't understand that. So look at the rankings here. US, I was actually surprised to see the UK having that much. But yeah, North Korea number 3. Hey, if you can't buy Bitcoin, Lazarus has ways of getting Bitcoin and their own Bitcoin strategic reserve with other ways. So yeah, number 3 on the list here. What is very interesting too is game theory now, right? So you have two top countries, right? Let's call them tier 1 countries, US and UK, owning a lot of Bitcoin. And this is all that's disclosed. There's a lot of countries that we know of on the inside, on the industry, that own Bitcoin, but just haven't disclosed officially yet, but will be at some point. So this is not the full list. This is only the known list. I would not be surprised to see countries like Russia, China having massive Bitcoin reserves, just not publicly disclosing them. But yes, game theory is very much in play here. And North Korea is now number 3. This is a bullish headline. Brazil proposes bill to allow Bitcoin salary payments. So again, this is what you want to see, right? You want to see big countries with 150 million people probably. I lived in Brazil actually for like 8 months. Loved it. It was amazing. So this is you want to see these big countries take a positive stance on crypto. And whether this passes today or this time is, to me, irrelevant. It just shows that that's the direction that the industry is heading to, and that's very good. So the bill outlines voluntary participation. Both employers and employees must mutually agree. So it does give this, I like this, right? It doesn't force the employer to pay in Bitcoin. You can agree to this, and this is going to be crypto. So let's see. So in Brazilian reals, conversion rates. Let's see if this is this crypto or Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin. Interesting. Would not be surprised again if Bitcoin, if and when countries pass. There's actually several countries that already do this, and USD, like stables, are fine too, right? For many countries, this is again very bullish. Nothing new, but this is going to be It only takes a few big countries like Brazil to, again, member of the BRICS, huge country, like the biggest country in South America, to use this to pass these laws for other countries, smaller countries, say, hey, if this big country, if Brazil does it, maybe you should do it too. So this is very good. Okay, let's talk about some potential choppy news here. It's actually not news for you guys. We talk about this on every show. Treasury Secretary I don't know how you pronounce his name, Besant says market corrections are normal, hints at tougher Trump put. Yeah, so this is nothing. He was on TV, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, saying basically, I've been in the investment business for 35 years, and I can tell you that corrections, basically what we're seeing in crypto, yes, but also in the stock market, right? Nvidia dropped, what was it, $1 trillion in market cap over the last 2-3 weeks. I've been in the investment business for 35 years, and I can tell you that corrections are healthy. They're normal. I'm not worried about the markets. Over the long term, if we put good tax policy in place, deregulation, and energy security, the markets will do great. Yeah. He's literally giving you the playbook. This is something that, they're openly saying what they're trying to do, what they're doing, right? Short-term choppy, aka difficult, right? And they're doing this if they can figure out the debt, if they can refinance, if interest rates drop, if QE starts, that whole cocktail is massive. And yes, the markets will do great. So we'll see. But again, they're not worried everything they're doing is very conscious. Now, will the plan work out? We'll see. But the plan, they have a clear plan on whether, they have a clear view on what they want to do. His comments suggest a higher tolerance for economic volatility before the administration steps in. At a time, so again, equity markets, we talk about crypto, right? If you guys are only in crypto, it's not just crypto, right? Crypto usually drops more than equities. The S&P and Nasdaq officially entered correction territory last week, falling over 10% from February highs amid fears that Trump's new tariffs could slow economic growth and drive persistent inflation. Bitcoin surged to 109K. This is when I was telling you guys, when we had like 2,000 people almost on these streams, and plunged 25% now to what the low 80s. And yeah, look, 10% for the Nasdaq, 25% for Bitcoin, and alts 50, 60, 90%. The downtrend has fueled calls for intervention. Of course, everyone's like, it's such a human thing to do, right? When things are going well, you're like, no, government, I want no intervention. Do not help. Get out of the way. But when everything goes bad, it's like, hey, can you help? And again, investors want help. Like I'd say the two things, of course, one is going to be interest rates. Three things I would say: tariffs, interest rates, QE. And I think everyone here would be super happy. But I don't think we'll see that in the next few weeks. At least not the combination. I'd be very surprised. I mean, they're giving you the playbook. Historically, investors have expected the Trump administration to aggressively support financial markets. However, both Trump and Bessent, I need to know, can someone tell me, is it Bessent or Bessent? Trump recently distanced himself from market movements. Yeah, I think he was on TV last Friday. He said, hey, I don't care about the stock market now. So he's not looking at the stock markets. Bessent's focus is on long-term economic strategy, emphasizing tax cuts, deregulation, and energy security. The Federal Reserve is in no rush to cut rates, with Fed Chair Jerome Powell and other Fed officials waiting to see the full effects of Trump's policies. Again, we'll probably talk about this tomorrow, talk about this on Thursday, because this is there's no quick fix. This won't be fixed this week. So brace for pain, your bags are probably going to drop. Your alts are probably going to drop. We might see a relief bounce at some point, though. So keep an eye on that. There might be a trade if you guys want to trade it. I think we definitely see a relief bounce at some points, sooner rather than later in the next few weeks, when we have some. Yeah, it's been so bearish for weeks now. Usually we tend to see something move up, but I would be very cautious, and I won't be calling for 150K Bitcoin until we see some macro, more money in the market. Interest rates, we talked about interest rates, tariffs, and QE. So that's my view. Two last headlines here. One is basically, be careful with your emails. This is nothing new, right? If you're in crypto, you know that there's a lot of so crypto users on high alert, new scam emails imitating Coinbase and Gemini. Be very careful. Do not click on links in your email. Go directly to the app. Okay? One click and you're fucked. So if you get an email from Coinbase that looks flawless, good logo, the logo isn't pixelated, there's no typos, it looks good, it looks real, don't click. And they ask, hey, you have to reset your password, or confirm your balance, or KYC something. Close it, go to the app directly, open a new browser tab, and log in directly. Do not click on a link. Simple as that. Okay? This is nothing new. We've seen this. Did anyone? So this is how it looks like, right? One of the many emails. Holy shit! Did anyone else get the migrate to Coinbase wallets? It looks very polished, and yeah, one click and you're drained. So use the app directly, log in directly. Do not click on links. Last headline for today, guys. SEC very bullish. SEC Hester Peirce weighs in on new crypto task force. Let's have a look. I actually haven't looked at this article. The SEC has launched a new crypto task force. I think that was launched a few weeks ago. It was announced a few weeks ago. This move has raised many questions about the future of cryptocurrency. So Hester Peirce, often called Crypto Mom, always been bullish. She's been bullish. I remember her. I remember bullish comments from her from 2019. Like when Bitcoin was struggling. So very she's always been very bullish, very supportive. Her comments have sparked, okay, let's have a look. The risks of over-regulation. Regulation is important, but it needs to be balanced. Companies might move to countries with friendlier tax laws. So look, they know about this. It's not might, by the way. This has happened, right? Singapore, Switzerland, the UAE have already attracted many blockchain businesses. Big concern for the US, of course, billions of dollars in investment, billions of dollars in talent. So it's always about money, right? It's always about the money that you attract. It's always about the quality of people you attract with the landscape and the laws that you apply. If you are pro-business, you will attract investors. You will attract a high quality investor, a high quality. So the ripple effect is huge, right? Any country that is pro crypto will attract capital, of course, because individual investors and or businesses will move. That means they will rent. That means they will go to the restaurant. That means they will hire help. That means they will shop. And so there's a ripple effect on the economy. So laws are crucial. And that's where small countries can really do well, is making it super friendly pro crypto, because you attract money, yes, but also a high quality investor, resident, and it has a positive effect, a good flywheel basically on everything in the country too. And that's something that many don't see. They just see the law. Yeah, but the ripple effect is huge. Peirce says that the US can still be a leader, but yes, you must protect consumers, but also allow room for innovation, of course. What's next? Let's have a look at this. Misuse and ensure everyone follows the rules. Yes. She thinks the task force should focus on making the rules clear and easy to understand. You can see this is happening, right? This is so teamwork. SEC should collaborate with people in the crypto industry to better understand their challenges. Hester Peirce's role in the debate. She's become a crucial voice with the SEC's increasing focus on crypto. The decisions made at this pivotal moment could shape the future of blockchain. So again, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. Does it happen in 2 months, 6 months? I think, what is it now? Mid-March. I think by the end of the summer, we should have, from what I'm hearing, we should have a very clear framework, on the US side. Doesn't mean that it will be, of course, they can't apply the US to every other country, but many countries follow or tend to base their own decisions based on what the US does. And the US has trailed for years due to Gary Gensler. And so now the idea is, of course, to get back in the race and hopefully make it interesting for crypto investors to go and either move to the US, invest in US, Web3 companies, and make it a better country to be in for crypto. All right, guys, I think we've had a look at everything here. let's have a look at this. Again, nothing great, choppy, sideways, bearish headlines. We have a mix of bearish and bullish news, bearish opinions, but bullish news is what I'll say. Also, the big takeaway for me here for you guys is that if you're here, there's only 85 of you. Like I said, you know, in January, we had like between 1,500 and 2,000 live viewers on these shows, on other shows, on spaces. So the tourists are not here. This is when you connect with other people in groups. This is when you research projects. This is when you DCA. This is when you also pick up a hobby, because this could, like I said, I say this every time, just want to manage expectations for you guys. This might take weeks, if not months, of 75K to 90K, but no big, I don't think we see any big move until we talk, until, you know, QE, until, so the end of QT and QE, until interest rates, and until some sort of tariffs clarity and support from the Trump administration on the economy side, which right now, they said it. They say it every day. They're not looking at the stock markets. So this is going to be choppy, uncertainty, prices flat at best, maybe a few scam wicks up, but trending sideways, potentially down. Would not be surprised to see another 5 to 10% drop on BTC. So we're at 81K right now. Yeah, mid to low 70s. I would not be surprised. And I would not be freaked out, because it's not just crypto, it's equities too. So thank you for joining the show, guys. As always, share with others, share with friends who are not tourists. And we'll see if we do one tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll be Thursday. Thank you for joining. We'll push the recording. We also had a, for those who just joined, we before the show, we pre-recorded an episode of the CoinRock Show with a guest. It was a great conversation. Talked about opportunity costs, acquisitions, AI, roll-ups. So not crypto, actually. We were getting to crypto, but then we said, okay, let's do a part 2. So we'll get the second part of the show probably in a few weeks. But I think you really like the episode. It's a bit different, especially now like crypto is a bit in a lull. It's a great time to kind of look at other things. And like I said, have fun, touch grass, pick up a hobby. The market will always pump at some point. There's no point in being depressed, because prices, and again, there is no upside in looking at the price of your bags, especially if you're in alts. It's not looking good. It's not going to look good until crypto as a whole does better and Bitcoin does better. So that's it, guys. Thanks for joining, and we will talk. We'll be on either tomorrow or Thursday. Talk soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you got value from this episode, you're going to love what's coming next. So subscribe now. We drop new episodes and videos several times a week, featuring power players, market movers, and insiders from the financial world. And if you want access to deals and insights we only share privately, hit the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next show.